Hello, everyone, and welcome to CV Chats. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I'm going to be your host as we have different conversations, different chats with people all around the globe about our bodies, different parts of our bodies, our businesses, our relationships, our finances, our children, different things that maybe may not be a conversation you would have with others, but we're going to have conversations here that hopefully will inspire you to whatever's going on in your life, but also what can we create, inviting a different conversation about vaginas, penises, bodies, and so much more. Hello, everyone, and welcome to CV Chats. My name is Laleh Hancock, and today I'm in Croatia, in Opatija, and I have my friend Manjunath Mysore from India. Welcome, Manju.
Ciao, everybody. Hi, Laleh. So good to see you after a long time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Do you want to tell them a little bit about you? I mean, you've got such a cool background and what you're creating right now. Do you want to just give them a little bit of info?
Yes, my name is Manjunath Mysore, like Lali said. I'm an Access Consciousness certified facilitator and a Talk to the Entities certified facilitator from India. And yeah, I've been traveling around the world for the last few years and spent a good amount of time in Mexico with Lale and all the classes and everything was going on over there. It was good fun.
Yeah. What about your restaurant?
Yes, so I was part of an Indian restaurant in Mexico, and now I'm in Bangalore, India, and I have started a offline cafe, and I have a bars therapy center, and I just launched we call it a cloud kitchen. I don't know what it's called elsewhere in the world. A cloud kitchen is where you have a kitchen where you just sell stuff online through these apps and aggregators and stuff, but you don't have like a service outlet. So yes.
So you're doing a little bit of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Um, Gosh, Manju, we've known each other a long time,
Mm,
and we've had a lot of different kinds of conversations together. And one of the things that, I have some great memories of is always talking about ladies and gentlemen, but from such a different perspective.
yeah.
And, we even did actually, we did a book club together maybe three
Hmm.
years ago, and it was the Gentlemen's Club and Salon de
Still
Femme.
under film.
And they're two books that were written by Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here. And they actually were two programs, one for
Yeah.
ladies, one for gentlemen. And gentlemen were not allowed in the ladies' class. Ladies were not invited to the gentlemen's. And it really
Yeah.
was to have conversations about ladies and gentlemen that no one wants to have, and
Yeah.
really looking at it not from the wrongness, but from the gift and the ways that we can actually really start to honor ourselves and honor others. And that's what I see with Conscious Vagina. It really was meant to be a space of oneness, no
Hmm.
separation based on our body parts, definitely
Yeah.
not our gender or, anything like that. And I really wanted to bring you because I always love you bring conversations about ladies and gentlemen from such kindness, you know?
Thank you.
So one of the questions that we had talked about is like even our bodies, like what do our bodies mean to us? Like even,
Yeah.
like you even asked, hey, what does vagina mean to you? You know?
Yeah.
And I'm curious what you were perceiving of that conversation.
One of the things that like occurred to me regarding to what you just mentioned was I'd like to mention, talk something about food. Okay, so when we make some food, we have a lot of ingredients, different grains, different spices, blah blah blah, and all of that, and they're all amazing in themselves. Would it make sense if any of those ingredients were trying to be like the other,
No.
or were trying to prove that they are the only mighty one and everybody else is useless and things like that? And that's what I see people trying to do with their genders and their bodies. You're like, instead of acknowledging the magic that we be and the contribution that we be in our uniqueness, we are going around trying to make groups and subgroups and micro groups and even smaller groups about the differences that we are. Trying to prove that like my difference is greater than yours, or any of all of those things.
That is such a great example. I'm so stealing that from you, by the way.
Totally.
Don't worry, it's called leapfrog. We just help each other out, just keep
Yeah.
out creating. But it's so true. Like when you look at nature, even animals, like animals might have the alpha mare or the alpha, stallion,
Mm,
like in the horse world. But even that, like when you really, because I had a horse. She when I brought her to where I lived, she went immediately in this herd of about 20 horses, and
mm,
they had to fight for who was going to now be the leader, and it was interesting to watch the dynamics of them kicking her, biting her,
mm.
doing all these things. And then one, gilding, which means that he no longer, his privates were cut,
Okay.
um, he came to her rescue. And it was interesting. From that, he got to be the leader for the male
Mm,
side of things. And she became the female leader, the herd leader and the alpha mare. But she never did it from, like, when I would watch
dominance.
her, yeah, it wasn't. It
Yeah.
just was, hey, I got your back. She always had
Yeah.
everyone's back. And even when you look at fruits and vegetables, you were talking about, like, it's so interesting how nature is willing to honor each other
Mm.
and have no point of view who comes and takes what. Like I always say, isn't it beautiful that a tree who bears fruit never
Mm.
says, oh, by the way, you met your maximum today, I'm sorry, you can't pick another apple.
Or what are you going to give me in return for this apple? Like,
Are you gonna hug me?
you, you
Are you?
or you better make some pee pee near my roots.
And yet, like I look at today, we're July 2025, right?
Mm,
Like I was telling you, just recently reading things in Facebook, it's like this female pride, but it's at
mm,
the expense of men, where I've done so many things. I mean, I would say 80% of my clients are female. Um, I've worked and continue to support many organizations and many supports that are to empower women. Okay. But for me, I've never done it as at the anger of men, or that it's
yeah.
anything like that. It's just, what would it take for more women to know they too can be leaders, that they too can be a leader in their families or
Yeah.
things of that sort. And it's this interesting thing. Like I really love what you said, because in cuisine, it's about oneness and how a little more of this might bring a different flavor and spice than another ingredient. Or
Yeah. I'd like to mention, see, like in this reality, uh, it seems like people have this idea where to lead means to overpower instead of
Mm,
empower.
yeah, control.
Okay,
Hmm.
yeah, and you bring that same thing to food. If you have one ingredient which is overpowering, you can't eat it.
Yeah,
But just the right amount of each of those ingredients empowers the entire dish, and you will never forget it.
so true. Yeah,
So, yeah, like in the name of empowerment, where are we running after overpowerment?
yeah. And as you guys are listening to this, I'm curious what might pop in your universe, like a moment. And it doesn't mean that if you've done that, it's wrong. It's not. It's just for us to shine the light to become more aware of how are we functioning and what's the future we all would like to create, Like there's so much hate going on in the world right now, but there's so much love, kindness, people helping each other out. I mean, I'm part of so many things and I see people coming together. Personally, I was born in Iran. When I was 7, I moved to France, and I was doing a program, Business Done Different. And I had someone from Israel who literally the day before there was bombing where she was, and then the next day she was able to travel home. And like this, whatever's going on, we don't have to be part of that. What is it that we each would like to create? And I'm curious, you've always been so different. You've always, I had forgotten your way of bringing things up about fruits and vegetables. I had forgotten about that because you've done that for me so many times. It's so
Yeah,
empowering.
I find it very relatable because we like everybody's first love is food, It's like, and you can really relate to those things.
Oh, so what about for you? Like, what are you noticing? You are traveling all over the place, and even with your new center you're creating and this new cloud kitchen and
Mhm.
things like, what do you see are areas that we can shine some more light on?
Um, One of the main things that I kind of see very strongly in my face, like over the entire broad spectrum of people, is uh, there seems to be a confusion between difference and separation.
Hmm.
So, in order to enjoy difference, somewhere there is this effort being made to create separation,
Yeah.
which is disconnecting things randomly everywhere, all kinds of things.
Yeah. What would you say would be a tool or a perspective with the fruit or vegetable to create something different? Because I was just on another call right before we got together, and there are so many people that their first question is, I'm so stressed, everything around me is stressful, and there's so
Mhm.
much hate, there's so much anger, there's this happening. And it all took one question from that facilitator to ask them one question. And truly, who does this belong to was that question, like what are they
Yeah.
aware of versus what they perceive belongs to them. And if you guys haven't, all of you listening, if you haven't yet gone to who does this belong to, it's on the Access Consciousness website. You could just Google it and find it. There's an app you can download in Apple as well as Google. And it really is that we are so aware of our environment,
Hmm.
the energies, people, we're so aware of their anger, we're aware of frustration, we're aware of fear and pain. And so, what we've learned is that if you perceive it, it belongs to you, but it's
Yeah.
not. And then we try to change things, but you can't change something that isn't yours. It's just something that your body will keep giving you information
Yeah.
about. And so, I look at even what you were just saying here. It's like how often it is that desire to be noticed, that
Mm,
you are unique, you are different, that turns into proving, turns into
mm,
doing it from a place that's not so much kindness, you
yeah.
know? So what what ideas do you have? Like what would you say here?
I totally love that tool, who does this belong to? And initially it might seem like very superficial, but then when you keep asking, you uncover more layers and more layers of where you're holding on to points of view that actually don't have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Like um, there's like I'd like to give an example of um, let's say uh, like as infinite beings, if we could believe in infinite possibilities, or if we could know that there are infinite possibilities. And if you ask me, um, what are the possibilities you have to clothe yourself? Okay. And then I immediately start thinking about all the menswear that I can buy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And right there, you get an element of who does this belong to? Because I'm only looking at thinking from a male's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even occur to me that my wardrobe can literally be infinite,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And that identity of being a male is borrowed from this reality.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to me. It's been so ingrained that even though, like, a lot of times when we are looking at possibilities, we don't even realize that we have this level of points of view that we've like considered to be default, and we don't even question it, like a gender, for example, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even
So
the gender conversation, like, okay, you have a female body, you can only do this. You have a male body, you could do
exactly,
this,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
and the interesting thing is like when you say you can only do this, this is this is like so solidified as the basis that you don't even question it. Like, is this really me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like
I mean,
by yeah.
I even look at this tool as, from a very young age. I always loved business. I mean, even when I was 7, I was telling my dad how to run his business. Like business has been in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom always wanted to know that when she got older, that there would be a doctor in the family to take care of her. She was already pre-planning her retirement when she was young. And
Smart woman.
somewhere along the way, I went from business and being a police officer to being a
So
doctor.
cool.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even know when because it was so far back in memory. I couldn't even tell you when I chose it, but I created my whole education system to become a doctor, you know?
Yeah.
Every job I had to the education to applying to medical school, like to everything was about going to medical
Mm,
school. And it wasn't until I'd say about 2 years ago that I really was present and honest with myself because I kept saying it was my dream, it was my dream. But then I chose not to do it after I
mm,
graduated from college. I was like, oh, I'm going to take 1 year off before I go to med school. And then life happened. But
mm.
no, it wasn't just life occurred. That wasn't my dream. I was living someone else's dream for
Yeah.
them. And
And
that's that
fortunately
thing.
for us, we had only our family to project that dream onto us. In like right now, family is just a very small part of what people have to deal with. Multimedia, social media is like bam, bam, bam. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to eat this. You're supposed to go there. You're supposed to experience this. You're supposed to live this way. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. I highly recommend you guys downloading Who Does This Belong To? And ask the question, because there's another tool which is light or heavy. When it's light, it's what resonates true for you. When it's heavy, it's usually not resonating true for you. It could be a
Mhm.
lie for you. So also notice all the things, all the gimmicks of like what you're supposed to do is never
And who
true.
you're supposed to be.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. For sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Most of the stress I see is coming from who you're supposed to be. There's very little about the doing, actually. It's the being that's like totally stressing people up.
So what would you recommend?
Who does this belong to?
Yeah, that tool. You know, I learned that tool 12 years
Or
ago.
a similar thing on the same lines is like, who am I being?
Yeah. And you'll notice it. I mean, like, especially if we have any parents here or others,
Yeah.
know the moment you were chatting with your kids and notice like that moment that it was no longer you talking. It literally was your mom or your dad coming through your mouth, you know? I
And
always
and the
knew.
and the cool thing is like how now you say that like a lot of times it's your mom or your dad or whatever. It's kind of indicative of how much they have been an influence on you. But when it comes to social media, you don't really know who.
Yeah,
But the cool thing about this tool is when you ask who am I being, even though you don't know who it is, you get the awareness that it's not you.
yeah, for sure.
And that's cool. And that's enough to let it go.
And even if it's your mom, the whole idea of the who does this belong to actually is to find out, is it yours, someone else, or something else? But the someone else, it's not about figuring it out. Because the
Yeah.
more energy you put into trying to figure it out, the more you make it be about one person. The easiest thing is just to know it's not yours,
Mhm.
release it, let it go back to from whence it came, and
And
send consciousness to it, you know?
I have this really cool example to, convey the thing of who does this belong to. Like, let's say you went out for a walk, okay, and then you came home, and then you realize that there's a stink in the house, and then you're looking around, you're like, okay, where's that smell coming from? And then you realize you stepped into some poop, okay? So, what is it? What is really required for you to get rid of that? Just
It's a
go and
good
clean it, or
example.
scrape it off or whatever. But then instead, if you're like sitting there trying to analyze when you stamped into it, where you stamped into it, which animal it was, what it had eaten, how old has it been, blah blah blah, and all of that, that's not going to like help you eliminate that thing. It's just only going to get you into story and all kinds of like nonsense things, and you're still sitting in the stink.
That is so true. That's what we do. We sit in our stink and try to
Yeah,
analyze it.
yeah, exactly. And
Oh,
it's
that's
not
so
even
good.
going to stop you from doing it again in future. Like it's
All right, everybody. The next time that you have something come up in your life, difficulty or whatever, remember, all it is stepping on poop, and now choose what you like to do with it, you know? Uh, you're gonna laugh. Actually, a couple of years ago, I did a class called Whose Fart Is It Anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it was so funny because, like, there's so many things that we make so significant, so real. Like you said
Mm,
earlier, also make it to separate or other things. One, they don't belong to us. But two, it literally is that awareness of someone farting, whether they're farting from their head,
yeah,
they're farting from their mouth, they're farting from their body. It's just that they're saying nonsense and we're just making it be so relevant and significant instead of, okay, it's a fart. What do I choose now? Would I like to sit in it, smell it, or walk away? Or choose something different, you know? And
yeah,
really we each have that choice, that we do not have to sit and try to figure it out. So, what's your
The other
next
thing
choice?
I've noticed myself and some other people do is, uh, when someone farts, you smell it, right? Like, so a lot of people tend to choose to give up their awareness
Hmm.
or give up their capacity to smell at all so that they
Hmm.
don't have to smell people's farts.
Hmm. Yeah. But what if you didn't have to?
Totally,
So,
yeah.
what would you do?
Be an allowance.
Yeah. Allow them to fart.
Acknowledge it is what it is, and
Yeah.
there's nothing to be done.
Yeah. One tool I learned a long time ago, probably 12 years ago, was how much space can I occupy
Mm,
not to be affected or impacted by anyone else's universe.
yeah,
And it literally is that moment that it seems so significant, you just give it space. That space takes away the relevance and then
mm,
allows you to be able to be in that environment but not be at the effect of it.
yeah.
And I really wonder right now more than ever, how much more space can we be inviting in our lives, and with our
One of the
bodies.
one of the very useful tools for that I use to become more space immediately is remind myself of a picture of our planet from space.
Oh, yeah.
It just takes like a fraction of a second. We've seen it so many times in movies, on TV, and whatever. So as soon as you remind yourself of like what space actually is, how big space actually is, you can't really see that small thing that you're making significant. You automatically just become space and you're like, okay, I guess this not doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
Find it very useful.
for so long, I thought if I didn't make it matter, it was not being kind or, sensitive or these other things that we learned growing up. And
Mm,
I realized how much more kindness there is when you don't make it significant, when you are
mm,
being more space and an allowance, because then that gives people choice and they can choose
yeah,
whatever they want to choose, whichever road, whichever direction track they want to go on, they now can, because you no longer have those emotions that are keeping it in place. Instead, you are neutral. And
yeah.
from that neutrality, it's amazing what gets created.
The thing I noticed about significance is like you have significance only with something you have judgments about. Like your
Hmm.
significance is always matching your judgments.
Can you give an
It's
example?
like I have a judgment about something that's right or wrong.
Yeah,
And when I see something and I apply to the right or wrong, depending on whether it's going to match or not,
yeah.
I will make it significant. Like
But even,
let's say women's lib, for
yeah,
example.
yeah.
So women's lib only means empowering women.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
It,
like the idea was that. The idea
okay,
was that,
that was
right?
your original idea. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the original idea. And if it was judged into right or wrong, like if I thought women's lib was right, or if I thought women's lib was wrong, and then I see something, and then I match my judgments, I match it against my judgment, and then I make it significant. If you don't have a judgment, nothing can be significant. Like,
but this is where I'm going to invite everyone to whose significance are you using here?
yeah,
Because there's so many things that were significant to me literally my whole life, and now they're not significant at all because I realized they don't belong to me. They were never mine.
I
It's
would like
things
to
I
give an
learned.
example.
Yeah.
That, like, there
Yeah.
is this thing called traveling around the world.
Yep.
It's significant,
Mm.
right? And it is significant why? It was not like I grew up desiring to travel around the world. I watched people tell me that again and again and again about how cool is it to travel around the world. And it became significant.
Mm.
It was never mine to begin with. Not that it's not cool to travel around the world, but the fact that you have to do it.
Mm. I love
Uh,
it. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. Yeah.
yeah, totally. It's amazing. And when you do it without significance is actually when you will enjoy it.
Yeah,
But if you
totally.
travel the world around the world because of significance, it's just a bucket list.
Mm.
And you go
Yeah.
around the world and you're like, oh, I traveled around the world. It didn't feel like such a big deal
Yeah.
because you were just trying to fulfill the significance, to feed the significance.
Yeah, that's more like you feel like you accomplished something instead of actually you enjoyed it and it
Yeah,
was something that actually created something greater.
most of things that belong to others are all that. By yourself, you don't have the need to create any significance. You just choose. You're like, oh, I feel like having tea. You'll just go have tea, and that's it. There's no significance. Oh, I feel like going to Croatia. You'll go to Croatia. Big deal. Like, and it just creates more ease in actually choosing whatever you'd like to have because there's nothing to fight, there's nothing to follow, there's like nothing.
Mm. Great example. Great example. What else? Is there anything else you'd like to say before we go? I mean, we
Mm,
covered a lot of different things. This went totally different than, what I
when are
imagined,
you
but
coming to India?
oh, that's such a great question. Originally, it was going to be
Yes.
August, but then I know that there was a change in the schedule. So I'm not
Mm,
sure. Let's see. I'm looking
come
forward to
quickly.
coming.
For whatever it's worth, India is very different right
Oh,
now
yeah.
since there was this one particular SOP that Dane did, I think 2 years ago or something. Yeah, it's quite a pleasant space, I could say,
Yay.
compared to
Totally.
before. Yes, yeah.
Totally. Totally. I'm looking forward to it for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to have to look at my calendar. When am I coming to India?
Yay!
Amazing. Thank you for being here.
Cool. Thank you
Truly.
so
Like,
much. This was a great conversation. Yeah.
and I'd like to just like also let the listeners know, like, also notice his relaxation. Imagine that's always been something like, no matter what's going on, like there's this relaxation that you invite others to be. And the humor, the play, the exploration of vegetables or cooking or flavors and spice, like, but if we are willing to live more to whatever's true for us. Like that's true for you, and that's why
I,
it
I,
works.
yeah, I would like to say something with regard to this. For the longest time, I did not acknowledge this about myself. And when I actually noticed it, thanks to Access and a lot of Access tools, I noticed what allowed me to be that way. And that was not buying the point of view from whoever has come across me in my life that I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't remember cognitively like saying no to their points of view, but I seem to have been like a blast it whenever points of view about me being wrong were thrown onto me. I seem to have gone into a state where I was like a dumb fuck, like duh kind of a moment. Somehow it's worked in my advantage, and I've never bought any of that.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's huge also with our bodies. And we're here with CV chats. Like, what would it be like? any judgment you have about you and your body, to even ask, who does that belong to?
Yeah, and yeah, we've had so many conversations about how how my body is so much joyful in Puerto Vallarta, because like the total almost lack of judgment on of bodies over there. At least that's what I perceive.
I don't know if that's true. I think you didn't have it, but there's plenty of people in Puerto Vallarta that had judgments of bodies.
Maybe I still operate from the Dove moment.
But this is the thing, when it's not even in your universe, okay?
Yeah,
It's like, even if it's happening, it's like la 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 la, you know?
yeah,
But
it's like it does not compute.
it doesn't compute. And the thing is that most things don't compute, and we keep trying to,
Oh,
make ourselves think like, oh yeah, this is what it is, like try to convince ourselves and make it real and true when it's actually not.
oh,
So I
right.
really invite everyone to explore, hey, you know what? Hmm, what's true for you? So thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful you guys were here, and share it, spread it. Let's get more of interesting point of view, and having no judgment be the dominant energy in the world, and having more
Yeah.
fun, more humor.
Yes.
And more information on Manju and how you can reach him and his website will be in the show notes. So just click there and see what else is possible.
So cool.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everybody. Thank you, Lale.
See you
See you
guys
soon.
soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for being here with CD Chats. Hopefully, you had some awarenesses, information, some new tools to help you with whatever's going on in your life. Maybe even gain some more communication with your body. And we invite you to, who do you know that can also have this conversation contribute to? Will you help us in spreading the seeds and inviting this to go even deeper all around the globe, to people to know something else is available for us, and we can choose something different with our bodies every single day. So thank you for being here. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or would like to have a particular topic on the next shows, comment below and let us know. You can always also send us a message in our Facebook. We also have Instagram with Conscious Vagina, and you can also contact us at globalwellnessforall.com/contact. See you soon.